Napoleon Bonaparte was born on an island. This island was called Corsica. It is in the Mediterranean Sea. The year was 1769. His family was not very rich, but they were important on the island. They were part of the minor nobility. Napoleon had many brothers and sisters. He was a clever boy. He liked to read books. He especially loved reading about history and great leaders. This gave him big ideas. He dreamed of doing great things himself one day. He did not know then that he would become one of the most famous people in all of history. His childhood was quiet, but his mind was always busy, thinking and learning about the world. When he was just 9 years old, his family sent him away. He went to a military school in France. Life there was not easy for him. The other boys made fun of him. They laughed at his Corsican accent. They thought he was a foreigner. This made him feel lonely, but it also made him very strong. He worked harder than everyone else. He was very good at mathematics. This skill was very useful for an army officer. It helped him understand cannons and artillery. He learned how to plan and think about war. He was determined to prove that he was better than the boys who teased him. He wanted to show them all that he was special. As a young man, Napoleon saw big changes in France. The French Revolution began in 1789. The people of France rose up against their king and queen. It was a time of great chaos and excitement. For a young and ambitious soldier like Napoleon, this was a perfect opportunity. The old rules were gone. A person could rise to the top through talent, not just because they were born into a noble family. Napoleon believed in the ideas of the revolution. He saw a chance to make a name for himself. He was ready to fight for France and for his own future. The revolution was like a giant doorway, and he was ready to step through it. His first real chance to show his skill came in 1793. The city of Toulon had rebelled against the new French government. The British Navy was helping the rebels. The French army did not know how to win. Napoleon, a young artillery captain, had a brilliant plan. He told the generals where to place the cannons. His plan worked perfectly. The French army captured the city. Napoleon was seen as a hero. He was made a general. He was only 24 years old. This was just the beginning. It showed everyone that this young man from Corsica was not just a dreamer. He was a man of action, a man who knew how to win. After his success at Toulon, Napoleon was given more power. He was sent to Italy to lead the French army there. The army was in a terrible state. The soldiers were hungry. They had no good shoes or uniforms. They had not been paid for a long time. Napoleon gave them a powerful speech. He promised them riches and glory. He filled them with hope and courage. He was a new kind of leader. He talked to his soldiers directly. He understood what they needed to feel brave. He made them believe in him. He knew that an army fights best when it has a leader who inspires them to dream of victory. Napoleon's campaigns in Italy were amazing. He won battle after battle. He fought against the armies of Austria. The Austrians had more soldiers, but Napoleon was a clever general. He moved his army very fast. He would surprise his enemies. He attacked them where they were weak. He was a master of strategy. He used maps and spies to know everything about the battlefield. His victories in Italy made him famous all over France. The people read about his successes in the newspapers. They saw him as a savior. He was the hero France needed during a time of so much uncertainty and fear. Next, Napoleon went to a very different place. He took his army to Egypt in 1798. He wanted to hurt Britain, which was France's biggest enemy. He thought that controlling Egypt would disrupt Britain's trade with India. The campaign was a mix of success and failure. He won battles on land against the Egyptian rulers, but the British Navy, led by Admiral Nelson, found the French fleet. They destroyed the French ships at the Battle of the Nile. Napoleon and his army were trapped in Egypt. This was a big problem. He could not get his soldiers home. It looked like a disaster for the ambitious general. Even when trapped, Napoleon made the most of his time. He brought scientists and scholars with him to Egypt. They studied the ancient country. They discovered many amazing things. The most famous discovery was the Rosetta Stone. This stone had writing in 3 different scripts. It helped people to finally understand ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs. Napoleon eventually left his army behind. He secretly sailed back to France in 1799. When he arrived, the people did not see him as a failure. They saw him as a hero who had returned. They were tired of their weak government. They were ready for a strong leader. Napoleon's moment had finally arrived. When Napoleon returned from Egypt, the government in France was very weak. It was called the Directory. People did not trust it. They were tired of the constant fighting and instability. They wanted a leader who could bring order and strength back to the nation. Napoleon saw his chance. In November 1799, he used his power and popularity to take control. This event is called a coup d'état. It was a swift takeover of the government. He became the first consul of France. This title made him the most powerful person in the country. He promised to bring peace and stability. The people of France were hopeful. They believed he could fix their problems. As first consul, Napoleon worked very hard. He was not just a soldier, he was also a great administrator. He made many changes to improve France. He created a new system of laws. This was called the Napoleonic Code. It was a single set of laws for the whole country. Many of these laws are still used in France and other parts of the world today. He also fixed the economy. He created the Bank of France. He built new roads, bridges and canals. He started new schools to educate people. These changes made France stronger and more modern. People admired his energy and his ability to get things done. Napoleon's power grew and grew. He was very popular. In 1804, he decided to take an even bigger title. He wanted to be the Emperor of the French. He held a vote, and the people of France agreed. They wanted a strong ruler to lead them. His coronation ceremony was a grand event. It took place in the magnificent Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris. In a famous moment, he took the crown from the Pope. He placed it on his own head. This was a powerful symbol. It showed that he did not get his power from God or the Church. He got his power from himself and his own achievements. As emperor, Napoleon's ambition knew no bounds. He wanted to control all of Europe. He led his grand army across the continent. He won many famous battles like the Battle of Austerlitz in 1805. This is often called his greatest victory. He defeated the armies of Austria and Russia. He seemed unbeatable. He placed his brothers and relatives on the thrones of other countries. He created a huge empire that stretched from Spain to Poland. For a time, it seemed like his dream of a united Europe under French leadership would come true. He was the master of the continent, a modern-day Caesar who had risen from nothing. Even a great emperor can make mistakes. Napoleon's biggest mistake was his ambition. He wanted too much power. His desire to control all of Europe led him into endless wars. In 1808, he made a bad decision. He tried to conquer Spain. The Spanish people fought back fiercely. They did not want a French king. They fought a long and bloody war called the Peninsular War. This war cost France many soldiers and a lot of money. It was like a wound that would not heal. It drained his empire of its strength. It showed that even Napoleon's mighty army could not easily defeat a whole nation that was determined to be free. The beginning of the end was his invasion of Russia in 1812. This was a terrible disaster. Napoleon took a huge army, more than 600,000 soldiers, into the vast country. The Russian army kept retreating. They burned their own villages and crops. This left no food for the French soldiers. Then the brutal Russian winter arrived. The cold, the snow, and the lack of food destroyed Napoleon's army. Only a small number of his soldiers made it back to France alive. It was a catastrophic defeat. The myth of Napoleon being unbeatable was shattered forever. The other countries in Europe saw that he was now weak. After the disaster in Russia, the other European nations joined together. Britain, Russia, Austria, and Prussia formed a powerful alliance against him. They fought and defeated Napoleon at the Battle of Leipzig in 1813. This was also called the Battle of the Nations. The Allied armies then marched into France and captured Paris. Napoleon had no choice. He had to give up his throne. He was forced into exile. He was sent to the small island of Elba, which is near Italy. They let him be the ruler of this tiny island. For a man who once ruled an empire, this was a huge fall from power. Everyone thought his story was over. But Napoleon was not finished yet. In 1815, he escaped from Elba. He returned to France. The soldiers who were sent to arrest him joined him instead. He was emperor again for a period known as the 100 Days. The other European countries quickly formed another army to stop him. The final battle took place at Waterloo in modern-day Belgium. On June 18, 1815, Napoleon was defeated for the last time by the British and Prussian armies. This time they took no chances. They sent him to a remote island far away in the Atlantic Ocean. It was called St. Helena. He spent his last 6 years there, writing his memoirs before his death in 1821. His incredible journey from emperor to exile was finally complete.